Okay, folks, today we're going to be looking at poetry. We will be reading a poem together using the name and explain method. This may be something you have done before and it may be entirely new, but either way, we're going to do it together. So I need you to go back into your Schoology course and print out the document that is called Anne Frank, Name and Explain. Have your pencil or pen, and if you would like one, a highlighter ready, and we're going to get going with reading poetry. Hi, welcome back. Hopefully you have printed out your copy of It Is Raining on the House of Anne Frank, Name and Explain, and you have it in front of you. If you have not done that, you need to go back and do it because you're going to need your own copy of the poem. So pause it, print it, and then start up again. So what we're going to look at today is called the Name and Explain chart, and that's something that if you've been in Pasadena ISD for a little while, hopefully you would have seen it and used it in a class before. But if not, that's okay. We're going to use it together today. So step one is actually not reading the poem. Step one, you start at the bottom of the poem and you scan over the lines backwards, and you highlight or underline words that you do not understand. And that's before you read the poem from start to finish. And then you figure out the definitions of all the words that you don't understand. So that way when you actually go through and read the poem, then you understand it all right away without having to worry about, oh my gosh, what does this word mean? So we'll start with that. I'm going to be honest with you. I am an old lady. I am a teacher, and I knew all the words. So if that is not the case for you, that is a-okay. Not everybody's going to know all the words. So I'm going to pick one that I think might be one that you don't know. I just started at the bottom, and I kind of scanned up until I found something I thought that might be something you don't know, and that is the word quaint. And if you're in Microsoft Word, you can just right-click the word and go to synonyms, and it tells you some synonyms. So it means like old-fashioned, old world, charming, pretty, that kind of thing. You can look it up in the Real Dictionary, or you can Google the definition of a word on your phone or on a computer if you have one in front of you. Well, which you would because you're watching the video. So there you go. Forgot about that. So now I know that quaint means old-fashioned. So I looked up the word that I thought might be challenging. If there are more words that you're finding challenging, you should definitely look them up. But what I'm going to do right now is read the poem out loud to you before we get started with the paraphrase. So this is It Is Raining on the House. Whoops, come back, poem. It is raining on the house of Anne Frank. It is raining on the house of Anne Frank, and on the tourists herded together under the shadow of their umbrellas, on the perfectly silent tourists who would rather be somewhere else, but who wait here on stairs so steep they must rise to some occasion high in the empty loft, in the quaint toilet, in the skeleton of a kitchen, or on the map, each of its arrows a barb of wire, with all the dates, the expulsions, the forbidding shapes of continents. And across Amsterdam, it is raining on the Van Gogh Museum, where we will hurry next to see how someone else could find the pure center of light within the dark circle of his demons. Okay, so we've read it together. Step two is to paraphrase the poem, which just means to put it in your own words. So it's really simple to understand. So I actually did that, and we will kind of go over what I did as a paraphrase together. Yours does not have to look the same as mine. I just put it in as simple terms as possible. So for the kind of the first section, the first half-ish, I said it's raining on the tourists waiting to go through the Anne Frank Museum. They'd rather be somewhere else, but they are going to look at all the things that are hard to look at. Because if you remember from your building background video, Anne Frank is somebody who was killed in the Holocaust at a very young age. And the museum contains lots of pictures and statistics that are really hard to process because of it's really just evil what the Nazis did and how they tore families apart and killed innocent people. So it's a really difficult thing to confront and think about as part of our past as human beings. It's hard to understand why someone can be so awful. But these people are waiting in the rain, even though it's something hard to do. For some reason, these people feel like it's important to do, to think about these things. So that's what they're doing. And then at the bottom, the second sentence, because if you look, my first paraphrase is just the first sentence. It's just a really long, kind of drawn out sentence. I'm going to look at the second sentence and I paraphrase that one. And after this, the people who are waiting in line, they're going to go to the Van Gogh Museum to be inspired by another person who found hope in a dark situation. Van Gogh was somebody who painted, despite he had mental illness, but he painted some really lovely things, and art helped him process his issues and mental illness. And Anne Frank, even though she was being hunted by Nazis and ultimately was killed in a concentration camp, if you remember from the Building Background video, a lot of what she wrote about was finding beauty and peace and hope and joy, even though she was in one of the worst situations that has ever happened in the entire world. She found beauty and hope and peace. And so this poem, this person is discussing how people in dark situations find hope and how people remember what they did and are inspired by what they did, and hopefully will be able to transfer some of that inspiration into their own lives as they go through hard times. Maybe they'll be able to do what Anne Frank did or what Van Gogh did and find hope and peace and joy in their own lives, even though they're having troubles as well. So we're going to move on to step 3 in the next video.